everyone. Welcome to February. Yay, February.
In case you didn't realize it, it's February. And if you didn't realize it, what have you been drinking? And let me have some.
My name is Louis Matos.
Your name is Louis Matos.
Yes. I'm the Mustache of the Mustache and The Beard.com. Two Grey Geeks, changing the world one post at a time. And this is the other Grey Geek.
The other guy. I'm the other guy. Junior Figueroa, also known as The Beard. For obvious reasons, I mean, we're not being subtle here. There's a reason why it's called The Mustache and The Beard. He has a mustache, no beard. I have a beard, no mustache. It's that simple, people. It's that simple. It's not, like rocket surgery.
And you could see the gray, right?
Right.
The gray here.
There's no denying the gray.
Yeah.
But you want to know what?
We don't want to. I don't want to.
We earned every gray hair. Okay. We were bad boys. We were bad.
You were a bad boy, not me.
No. Come with it. You've been at my side for 35 years. You have been just as bad as me.
No, I'm an innocent.
Uh-huh.
All right. We're not going to go into our stories because we have a job here to do today.
It's PG.
It's Autopsy number 8.
8.
And we will be...
Which means there's 7 more. There've been 7 more in front of this one. So get on our website, look up the autopsies in the menu, and you can go and see the other 7. Okay, because it is fabulous. If I do say so myself, the videos are fabulous.
Plenty of diarrhea of the mouth.
You denying that they're fabulous? Huh?
I would not deny. No, I wouldn't deny that I believe that they're fabulous.
No,
yeah.
I know that they're fabulous.
All right, so we're going to be talking today about Conan 2011, Conan the Barbarian 2011. First thing I want to, I know that he will have had surgery already, so first of all, to one of our great geeks, Alfredo Zapata.
He went into the hospital for surgery. We visited him today.
And you just want to say, get well soon. We love you, and hopefully you'll enjoy this video.
Yeah, this video is for you, baby.
Okay. All right, so, when you're in the hospital, listen, I know there are times you're interrupted all the time. It's not like you get to sleep for any extensive, long periods of time. So
last time I was in the hospital, they woke me up so I could take a pill. So what's the pill for? To help you sleep. You woke me up to take a pill so that I could sleep.
Yeah, and you interrupted me for that story, right?
Damn.
All right. That's what you do. I say something like, okay, let me tell you, this takes me off onto a tangent. That's been our 35 years. All right. Director of this movie is Marcus Nispel. Okay? Marcus Nispel was not, and we'll go into some trivia afterwards, but he was not supposed to direct this movie. He did that by circumstance. And one of the, I don't want to start with negatives, but we have 3 writers of this movie: Thomas Dean Donnelly, Joshua Oppenheimer, and Sean Hood. All right, and they're all supposed to be based on Robert E. Howard's Conan stories. All right, so did you want to say anything? Do we need to stop this video?
No.
Okay. Jason Momoa is the main actor. He plays Conan. All right, and then Stephen Lang is the bad guy. He plays Kalar Zim. You're not gonna say anything now?
I have nothing to say. Stephen Lang plays Kalar Zim. Jason Momoa plays Conan.
And Kalar Zim is the bad guy.
The villain.
I love Stephen Lang.
So do I. Yes.
He has a jacked body.
Nobody plays a bad guy better than him.
Yeah. And
Wasn't he the villain in Avatar?
he was the villain in Avatar. He plays the villain a lot. What's interesting is that we saw a YouTube video, and when he stands next to Jason Momoa, he's short. Jason Momoa is a lot taller.
Anybody's short next to Jason Momoa.
But what is extremely interesting is that they do a lot of upshots when they're together, so you don't notice.
Right.
You don't notice the difference between the two.
They're aware of the difference, so
Yes.
they compensate.
Yeah.
Sort of like in the original Star Trek, Shatner is a short guy. They will do times where the ladies were taller than him, and they would have him standing on a box.
He's that much shorter?
Yeah. There were times when they would have him standing on a box in order to kiss the broad.
That I did not know.
And Sylvester Stallone is the same thing. I think he's only like 5'8".
Yeah, I know that about Stallone, but and
That's why Mr. T looks so big next to Sylvester Stallone. Mr. T is a little guy also.
all right. Now Rachel Nichols is the Tamara,
The love interest.
She's kind of like a priestess somehow.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, go ahead.
Apparently, she is. They're supposed to be warrior nuns that are bodyguards for the queen.
Yeah, see,
but they never mention
Yeah.
this in the movie.
they don't translate it well. They do show us that she can fight.
Right. The reason why she can fight is
She's
that
a warrior nun.
She's a warrior nun that's being trained to be a bodyguard for the queen. So all those warrior nuns are supposed to be of royal blood. She is the pure blood. She's a pure direct descendant from royalty. The others are also royal blood, but not pure, which is why the bad guy goes after her. Now we understand that she's a pure blood and that the bad guy goes after her. We have no idea what. We know that she's a nun, but we don't know that she's a warrior nun, that she's being trained to be a bodyguard for the queen, and that's why she can fight.
Yeah, it's pretty vague.
Yes.
All right. There's also a backstory here that is Ron Perlman is Corin.
Oh, perfect casting.
Yeah, it's Conan's dad. And he's also a blacksmith.
So apparently he's a warrior, a blacksmith, and the chief of the tribe. Not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, again, they try to tell this story, and it somehow gets lost in translation. At least for me, anyway.
The young Conan was great. I mean,
Yeah, played by Leo Howard, young Conan.
the martial artist.
Yeah.
He played the young Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe movie.
Okay, I didn't see the G.I. Joe movie. I think
the fact we all know Snake Eyes is the ninja in G.I. Joe. So for him to play the young Snake Eyes, that means that this boy got to be good.
Yeah. They show also that I did see that Rachel Nichols is in that G.I. Joe movie.
Oh.
She plays what's the redhead? Scarlet.
Lady Scarlet.
Yeah. Scarlet. So yeah, she's in that movie as well. In fact, there are like 3 people from this movie that are in that movie. We have Rose McGowan, who plays Stephen Lang's daughter, Kate Kalar Zim, his daughter, and she's called Marique, and she is a witch in more ways than one.
She's witch. She's a witch by occupation and a witch by temperament, and she comes by naturally because her mother was a witch.
She also can fight, so which is a good thing, because we get to see the women tussle. Bob Sapp is one of the henchmen, Ukafa.
That's the black guy?
Yeah, who played in The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler. All right, so yeah, he plays a much more imposing. He's the guy that said,
big guy.
Yeah, he's the one that clotheslines Stone Cold Steve Austin and then says, I think he pooped his pants. All right, and cleaning it up. So yeah, he's a former wrestler, big guy, and of course, as you would expect from a henchman. Also, the last person I'm going to talk about is Nancy Anonsi, which you love him because you immediately said he's the guy from Zoo.
The guy from Zoo.
Yeah, so he plays. I love to hear him speak.
Yes, absolutely, and I love to look at his face because he speaks and he actually twinkles with his face twinkles.
He seems like a very wise man. Whenever he speaks, he has that kind of he enunciates clearly, and he in everything in Zoo in this movie he is the wise friend. Now he's a little naughty in this one, but he's more like a pirate, right?
They're supposed to be pirates. They don't say that they're pirates.
Again,
but
we're supposed to take that as
they're supposed to be pirates.
Yeah. All right.
There's a lot of fill in the blanks in this one.
Okay, so you want to start filling in the blanks? You want to tell us the story?
Briefly, because to the movie's credit, there are a lot of nuances and a lot of details, and they do provide details and characterization. We start out with a origin story for Conan. Right? We see how Conan, starting with his birth, we see how Conan's born, and we see how he's raised, and we see the relationship between him and his father, Corin, played by Ron Perlman, as we said, and it's very important. That's very important to the story that they're presenting, and this is why
nicely put too. That they're presenting.
And Ron Perlman is perfect. I mean, if you had to have a guy play Conan's father, he was the guy to do it. I mean, perfect casting in that respect. Then we go from Conan's origin story. It turns into a revenge story. Okay, with the death of Conan's father and the wiping out of his village by the villains, the villain and his daughter and his henchman.
Yeah, Kalar Zim.
Yeah, it then turns into a revenge story where young Conan grows up always wanting revenge on the people who killed his father and wiped out his tribe.
Now, one of the reasons why the tribe is wiped out and the reason the father is killed is because apparently there's this piece of a relic, right? This mask that's supposed to give him godlike properties.
Right, there's these rings. Oh, excuse me, wait, that was another movie. There's this mask, you see, that is supposed to bestow godlike power on the wearer. Okay, the rings are something else. Mm-hmm.
That's a different story. Totally different story.
Yes. Has nothing to do with this. Yes. So the mask was the evil sorcerer became a godlike being, was killed by the United where the tribes of man they united and they killed them and they broke the mask into pieces, and then each piece was given to a different tribe.
Yeah, of Hyboria.
And then to be hidden, to be buried away and hidden, so that they couldn't be brought back together, and nobody else could gain this power. Why they didn't just destroy the pieces in the first place? It takes a wiser man than me. The same thing with the rings. I'll stop mentioning the rings. It takes a wiser head than me to explain that. But it turns out that Conan's dad, who is the king of their Sumerian tribe, has a piece. And what the villain is trying to do is gather the pieces. Matter of fact, he has gathered the pieces. There's one piece left, which is the piece that Conan's dad has. And they have to find it. Now, it's hidden, so they attack the village, wipe out the villagers, take his dad and Conan prisoner, and they torture the dad in order to find where the pieces. Of course, because they're Sumerian, torture ain't gonna work.
He's a savage. I mean, he's a barbarian.
He's a barbarian. So it ain't gonna work. And I mean, not only is he a barbarian, but the Sumerians were supposed to be the toughest. They're like the Spartans of their time. So it ain't gonna work. But the bad guy's daughter uses her magic, and she finds the piece, and the bad guy gets the full mask. Now, later on, we discover that he's got the mask, but he don't got the power because he needs to make a blood sacrifice
of the pure blood.
Of the pure blood, has to make a blood sacrifice in order to unleash the power, and that's where we come in with the warrior nuns and all that. Years later on, but they killed Conan's dad. They think that they killed Conan. He survives, and now he wants revenge. He remembers the faces of the villain and his daughter and his henchmen, which he has like 4 or 5. So he remembers their faces. So this is what he grows up, becomes this great warrior, this warrior thief and pirate, and he's still looking. And so then when next we see Conan, it's Jason Momoa, right, looking gorgeous, and I mean he's looking gorgeous. I mean he looks better than in Game of Thrones. And
he looks like the perfect Conan.
The perfect Conan. He's got the perfect Conan look. So he sees one of he finally sees one of the henchmen, and so then that's the impetus for the rest, because by getting that guy and getting him from, he didn't even know who the bad guy's name was. He didn't even know.
Yeah.
All he knew was what they looked like. So he gets which is a particularly gross scene, because when he was a kid, he cut off this guy's nose, right, with his sword. It's very graphic. He cut off this guy's.
Yeah, it doesn't lack gore.
Yeah, and so when he sees him as an adult, he's got it's not like a mask. It's like it's to cover up the hole that he has in his face, and to torture him into revealing the information he wants, he sticks his fingers in the hole, which I had to look away. I could, I was about to lose my dinner. Mm-hmm. So that was.
I didn't look away because I love gore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, ew, what the heck?
So Conan gets the information that he needs, and he sets out on a revenge trail, which leads him to, he winds up rescuing Tamara, right, that's her name, the warrior nun. He winds up rescuing Tamara,
Simply because he knows that the bad guy wants her.
Right, exactly.
There's no other reason other than the fact that, he wouldn't have rescued her if he didn't.
No, but the movie does have a save the cat in the sense that the first action sequence with Conan as an adult, they're freeing those slaves.
Uh-huh.
He does. They raid a slave market, and they free captured slaves. And of course, Conan gets his reward because there are a lot of naked slave women. Okay, so Conan gets his reward. It wasn't entirely altruistic, but he does. Conan has his own code, and he lives by his own code.
Yeah.
But he does rescue Tamara because she's the next link in the chain that's going to lead him to the bad guy, and he can get his revenge.
To Zim.
And so there's, as you would expect, there's a step by step. He gets closer and closer to Zim, and there are monsters to fight. I mean, we are talking about sword and sorcery. We are talking about Conan. Conan always has a monster to fight. That's one of the staples of Conan. And little by little, he pieces it all together, and he finds he gets to the villain, and they have their and of course it's the bad guy and his daughter, right? And there's Conan and Tamara, so it winds up being primarily Conan's fighting
tag team fight.
Yeah, exactly. The tag team fight. Some interesting things go on. There's hinted of a
incestuous relationship. That's where you were going?
Yeah, between the father and the daughter.
Uh-huh.
And from what I've pierced together, it was supposed to be more overt. And but the producers freaked at the.
I could understand that.
So no, I don't think so. It's okay. To me, it's been perfectly all right because it's the villains.
Well, they also show her getting out of his bed. Now she's in a nightgown, so she's not naked or anything. But the hint is there. I mean, when she got out of the bed,
it was more overt in the dialogue, and they took out all the dialogue that referred to it. But Rose McGowan says that she played it that way, despite the fact that the producers had wanted to eliminate it. That she played it that way, if not in the dialogue, in her
looks and things like that.
And the way she acted, the way she played her part.
It does come across.
Yeah.
It comes across, but
Absolutely.
You're like, is it really? But yeah.
So which makes it a big thing when she dies at the end, and which makes the villain freak out. He freaks out the way you would freak out if you would expect the bad guy to freak out if it was his wife or his mistress or anything. So anyway, the Conan saves the day. He makes the world safe for piracy and lechery and all that fun stuff from the Hyborian age. And he says goodbye to Tamara. There is a scene in the cave with Tamara and Conan where they're not boots.
It's body double, though. I found out.
Yeah.
Because she's.
You mean for her?
Yeah, for her.
Yeah, because we get to see Jason Momoa's butt. Nice butt. He's got a nice butt.
She's a pretty girl. Obviously, she's an actress, but she
it's an
had
R movie, so it's R in violence and it's R in
gore
and sex, so. But it's an interesting scene in the cave with the two of them. he says goodbye to her, and the movie ends. He goes back to where his village had been. Right, it's in ruins, and he finds his father's forge. It's in ruins. But another point is that there's a thing in this with young Conan where his father's trying to teach him, and there's this whole thing about a sword, and that you have to respect the sword, and then young Conan isn't ready to have his own sword, and then they make a sword. Right, he's supposed to be the master sword maker, and they make a sword, and Marik steals it. When they kill the father, she steals the sword. So at the end of the movie, there's a thing about Conan wanting to get his father's sword back, right? And so he gets the sword, and at the end he goes to the ruined village, and he takes the sword to the forge, and in other words, he's letting his father's spirit know that he was revenged, and he got the sword back. He got the sword, and that's how the movie ends.
Okay. Yeah, you told a lot of the story. Let me go into trivia before we go into our ratings and recommendations. I saw Jason Momoa was enrolled in a 6-week training program for stunt and martial arts. Yeah. Listen, like I said, perfect Conan.
He put on 15 pounds of muscle. He already weighed 215 pounds.
Yeah.
He put on 15 pounds of muscle. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's all in his butt.
All right. So, one of the things that I found interesting is because I saw him. He's a tall guy, and he was riding a horse in one scene that I was like, wow, it's like he's really gifted. But I found out that he's afraid of horses.
Wow.
So he's afraid of horses, and he didn't ride on a horse. So I was like shocked because here is this set piece that is fantastic stunt riding, and I thought he was seriously riding. I didn't see a stuntman. I saw him. So whatever they did, they must have done some CGI to put the face on him, because they have close shots with him on the horse riding. So it's spectacular. So when I saw that bit of trivia, I was like, wait a second. Even in Game of Thrones, he's
riding a horse?
Riding a horse without a saddle. So I don't know. He must have learned somehow or gotten over the fear, because it says...
Tequila. It was tequila. It made him brave.
All right, so we already talked about the sex scene. It's one, and there is a body double, and it is graphic. I mean...
not pornographic.
Yeah,
graphic.
But it's 15 minutes.
It's rated R.
I mean, it's 15 seconds. It's not like, it's a huge, long...
Yeah, it would have been a lot more fun if it had been 15 minutes.
Okay. Would have been a totally other type of movie. Both Jason Momoa and Anansi were in Game of Thrones after this movie. So they apparently liked working together. They got a chance to do it. One as Khal Drogo and the other one as Zaro Zoandasos in Game of Thrones. So for Game of Thrones fans, I know you should have seen that. But like I told Junior, I love him in Zoo. I like this actor.
Yeah.
In 2014, Jason Momoa and the actress Nichols, Rachel Nichols, they were asked to be in Guardians of the Galaxy, to play Gamora and Drax, and they both turned it down. And the reason why Rachel Nichols turned it down was because she wanted to play in G.I. Joe. She wanted to play Scarlet. And the reason why Jason Momoa turned it down is because he wanted to do Aquaman. All right.
So
They both got what they wanted.
And that was a smart move on Jason Momoa's part.
Although, I think, I don't know if he would have played the Drax the same way, so that might have been that. And honestly, I like what's her face who played Zoe Saldana, who played Gamora. All right, so Schwarzenegger was offered the role of Corin, Conan's dad, right? So even though you're right that what's his face plays, thank you. I don't know. I can't get them out of my mouth. Ron Perlman played a good Corin. There's a part of me that says, I could have seen, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan's dad. It would have been a nice way to pass the torch. But the reason why he did not is because he still fancies himself as Conan. He wants to play
King Conan.
King Conan, absolutely. He and they were thinking about making the Legend of Conan after this movie, but because it did so badly in the box office, they canceled any idea of making a sequel. Although Arnold Schwarzenegger is still prepared to reprise his role as King Conan. He still has. It says here that he
wants to play a geriatric Conan. They can wheel him in his wheelchair. You can give him to pass him the sword, and they can go around fighting, holding onto his walker.
Well, he did he did Terminator. I don't know what, Terminator 6 or something like that, and he still fancies himself an action star, and I totally can't see that. I could have seen him as the dad, but for him to do Conan, it's kind of
borrow a page from John Wayne's book. John Wayne continued to make these westerns, continued to make these war movies, but not hiding the fact that he was getting older, not trying to cover it up. There was always a young guy in the movie, a sidekick, to which a lot of this fell on top of, and that John Wayne would play the venerable veteran, the wise veteran, the mentor, the allowing this in El Dorado. It's James Caan. A lot of times it was his son Patrick Wayne. Mm-hmm. In Big Jake, he's got two sons, Chris Mitchum and Patrick Wayne, and so it's not him it's not him being 50 trying to act like if he's still 30. So Arnold, if that's what you want to do, more power to you. I have no problem with that. But you're not 30 anymore. Don't try acting like if you're 30, because it's laughable. Mm-hmm. You think that this movie flopped? Wait and try to do a Conan movie like that.
All right. Kellen Lutz and Jared Padalecki were both slated for. They were asked to do this movie, and both of them said no. Kellen Lutz is a big guy, but
Hercules.
I still, honestly, I think they have the perfect Conan.
Yes.
There was a $90 million budget, and it only made like $20 million, which is, it didn't even make up.
It bombed.
Yeah, it bombed. Totally bombed. Morgan Freeman narrates in the beginning.
Morgan Freeman has turned into this generation's James Earl Jones. He is the voice. And he puts class into anything that he touches, anything that he does, it becomes classier. All right, so you want to give your ratings and recommendations? No, I want to say okay, I'll do it. I'll say what I think is wrong with this movie. It is a It is a good sword and sorcery movie. It is a good sword and sorcery movie. It has all the sword and sorcery tropes. Well played, um, well acted, well made. Okay, it is just not a Conan movie. Okay, although I think the perfect actor to play Conan is Jason Momoa, and he looks, oh my God, he looks like Conan. But it's more. If you had changed the name, it would have been changed the name of the main character. It would have been more in keeping with the movie. One, we would not. There was no reason in the world to show us a Conan origin story. Okay, Conan does not have an origin. Robert E. Howard created Conan full blown. Okay, we don't know. We know that he's a Sumerian. We know it's the northern tribe. It's the Hyborian Age. We introduced to Conan as a full blown warrior thief, right? I do not know why in the back in 1982 in the Arnold Conan they gave us an origin story also, and now in this movie they give us an origin story. Why? I do not know, because I don't care. Okay? It has nothing to do with liking the character. When you read the books, when you read the comic books, Conan is full blown. I use an example in speaking about this earlier with Lewis. I use an example about James Bond. When we're introduced to James Bond and Dr. No, he's full blown. We're not told anything about his background, his parents, how he was raised, what made him become a secret agent, how he became a 00. None of that is important. Who gives a crap? Okay, we're introduced to the character full blown. Sherlock Holmes, the same thing. Now, I don't know why they spent 25 minutes telling us Conan's origin story. Who cares? It's not Conan. On top of that, the second strike is that it then turns into a revenge movie. Why? That's not Conan. Conan is an adventurer. He's a warrior. He's a thief. Okay? He gets into these messes because of that's the way he is. He breaks into a place, gets into trouble, gets hired to do something, gets into trouble. It's not about revenge, most often than not, it's about money. Okay, so you turn Conan into a revenge-driven character. That's not Conan. And then what is this thing with the sword? You had the same thing in Arnold movie, and now in this one with Jason Momoa. Now that's a common trope for sword and sorcery. The magic sword, my father's sword, the sword to wield the sword to earn a kingdom. That's a common trope in sword and sorcery. It's not Conan. Conan never had a special sword. Matter of fact, there are times when they show him using an axe. Never had a special sword. Never had a special horse. Never had special armor or anything to wear. That's not him. That happens in other sword and sorcery movies. It doesn't happen in Conan stories. So this is your third strike. So basically, what you're taking the character of Conan and trying to mold him into something that he's not, when actually you should be using Conan to set the standard. Okay? Throw away the other tropes. This is Conan. You need for Conan to create his own universe, his own mythos. You didn't do that. You didn't do that with this movie. Now, I understand that this sounds like if I'm tearing this movie apart. I enjoyed the movie. I did enjoy the movie. As a sword and sorcery movie, I did enjoy it. It wasn't a Conan movie, though. Not for me. It did have some of the Conan's. It touched upon Conan's wenching, right, which is a common thing in Conan stories. But then again, it tries to give us this female character, which it seems almost like they're going out of their way to make you think that Conan's falling in love with this girl, and then he walks away, at the end, which made it Conan. I guess they thought that it made Conan look cool. I thought it made him look like a jerk. You created you try to hint at a love story in the first place when it shouldn't have been like that. Then and then he does fight a monster. Okay, there's always a monster in Conan stories, always, which is part of the fun. When's the monster going to come out? And what's the monster going to look like this time? So that was that part is cool. The action is great. The Jason Momoa chews up his part. I mean, he becomes Conan. It's just that it wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good fit. So I like the movie. I'd have to give it 3.5 Grey Geeks. That's my take on it. It's still, I'm still saying that the movies are very good. It's just not a Conan movie. It's not the Conan movie that I have yet to see the Conan movie that
an actual Conan movie.
An actual Conan.
With all three of those, none of them are Conan movies.
Yeah, none of them. None.
I agree with you as far as the action set pieces. The fight scenes are well choreographed, and of course they would be. That's what you'd be expecting in this kind of a movie. And Jason Momoa, I'm telling you, I said, that's Conan. Mm-hmm. That's the John Buscema drawn Conan.
Yes, exactly.
That is from the magazine.
That's the Frank Frazetta Conan. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, even, to being scarred and everything.
Yes.
I mean, just
Frazetta.
That's what you would expect from Conan. All right,
he's standing in his bare shirt, and there's 3 scars going across his shoulder. And if you look at the Frazetta paintings, he often would have showed Conan scarred. Beautiful. I mean, he looks it.
Okay. So the set design is beautiful. I mean, the cinematography in this is just you would expect. $90 million worth of put into this movie. Mm-hmm. So the sets were gorgeous. The cinematography is great. The choreography of the action scenes are great. Love the acting. I mean, not Academy Award acting, but yes, it was. He embodied the writer's vision of Conan. All right, and so that is where I'm gonna agree with you completely. And the music, it's super. So I have no complaints about the look of this movie at all. My complaint is your complaint, is the writing. If you are going to call this movie Conan, how dare you not read Robert E. Howard's work?
Thank you.
How dare you call this Conan when it wasn't Conan? The writer is like the writer. That's why I named him in the beginning, because I am really furious with this guy. Well, these guys, Thomas Dean Donnelly, Joshua Oppenheimer, and Sean Hood. It's like, do you not know Conan? Because Conan, the idea of having to create a hero's journey, this is a screenplay device. And you don't need it. Just tell me it's Conan, and guess what? I know it's going to be a thief, a pirate, a ne'er-do-well that sometimes does good deeds.
And then you gave us the first appearance of Conan as an adult. He's busting up a slave market. You've got to save the cat. You automatically, the audience is now going to love this guy. That's all you needed to do.
That's when the movie should have started.
That's where the movie should have started. The 20 minutes, 25 minutes of him as a kid, total waste of time.
You didn't need, and, God forgive me, Morgan Freeman's narration, though lovely as it was, unnecessary. Because, the whole telling of the mask mythos, listen, that could have been, 2 minutes of the story being told. When he grabbed the mask, whatever. It's just, you don't need all this exposition. It was, I told Junior, it was like 20, I paused it to see how much time they spent on the hero's journey beginning, like this is the chosen one. We don't need the chosen one. The chosen one story has been done to death.
And doesn't it strike you as like they're kind of forcing you to like Conan? Like if they have to force you.
If you're watching this Conan movie, it's because you are thinking that this is going to be the Conan that you've read before. Even if it wasn't, and I'm not talking, you didn't have to read the Robert E. Howard works. You could have read the comic book. And this is the guy that, the Roy Thomas knew who Conan was. And so the idea that you are calling this a Conan movie is absolutely disgraceful.
It's a name only.
It is absolutely disgraceful. And I'm telling you that I loved everything about the movie except the writing. Loved, the actors that they chose. Listen, Stephen Lang as the bad guy. And he's scarred and he's, grizzled and he is still jacked.
At first, I didn't realize it was Stephen Lang.
Yeah, because they have it like
he's so into
his face is covered.
Yeah, and he's so into his part, and he's playing an older guy because he's got a daughter, a grown daughter. At first I didn't realize that it was him.
Yeah. So my complaints are all about the writing, the story. This hero's journey is unnecessary. I was looking forward, and I'll tell you, when Junior said, let's do Conan. And I said, I don't remember watching. I thought I watched the movie with my kids, but I said, all right, let's watch it.
Well,
because he's perfect.
I suggested Conan simply because right now, we touched upon in our last Red Capers that for years Marvel Comics had done a Conan comic book, and that's really what put Conan on the map. I'm not taking away from Robert E. Howard, but prior to the comic book, Conan had been like a cult favorite.
Yeah, he was a pulp hero.
Yeah, and there were people, some of us who knew of him, but with the comic book, he was so enormously popular that's what eventually led to the movies.
Yeah,
and later on the TV show. Marvel does not own the rights to Conan. He's licensed, and they lost the license. And then in recent years, it had been Dark Horse that had been doing a Conan comic. Now, I'm not saying that Dark Horse's Conan comic wasn't any good. It simply wasn't as popular as the Marvel comic. Well, recently, Marvel reacquired the license for Conan, and they're doing a new Conan comic book that apparently is a hit.
And they're looking to do a reboot of the Conan movie.
Of Conan movies because of this, and Conan has become so popular that Midnight's Edge, who do videos for YouTube, they did a retrospective on Conan the Barbarian with Arnold and Conan the Destroyer. So it goes to show you that Conan is in the news. Then on top of that, In this particular movie, he's played by Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is in the news, having played Aquaman in Justice League and in the Aquaman movie. So it seemed like the right time to take a look at the Conan the Barbarian movie with Jason Momoa. That's what made it so timely.
No,
that's why I suggested it.
And I'm not trashing your pick. I'm just saying I totally expected this to be perfect. And bad on me, I should know better. Because the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan the Barbarians were bad. But because it was something that we weren't accustomed to getting, we were like, oh, it's Conan the Barbarian, it's one of our heroes. Even though, yes, okay, so they get the fact that the whoring down. They get that part. They have him, on a ship, do a little bit like the pirate thing.
But they never say that he's a pirate.
And luckily they win. I mean, it's not even, Conan being a good warrior. I mean, it's just, there's just so much that I cannot ignore. This writing, for me, the writing is so important, and I have to give it Two Grey Geeks. Two Grey Geeks. Because I'm so disgusted. I mean, can't you see how disgusted I am at the fact that they have everything perfect except the most easy thing, because all they needed to do was take Robert E. Howard's script and just copy that. Why? Because it's all fighting.
And the thing is that somebody knew about Robert E. Howard and his Conan, because the story with the heart and the elephant monster. Forgive me, I don't remember the title of the story, which is Robert E. Howard's first Conan story, is mentioned in this movie. Right. That it just happened.
Yeah, it's a little wink. Yeah,
it just happened. Conan had just went through that, right? It's mentioned. So somewhere, one of these three writers has picked up Robert E. Howard at some point.
And the Red Witch story is kind of like what they're trying to do here. Listen, you failed. You failed miserably as writers.
As Conan writers.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not a horrible story. Again, for the fact is that they called it Conan. And that takes audacity.
If they had called him Joe Blow, it would have been a great sci-fi movie. Sword and Sorcery movie. If they had called him Joe Blow. By calling him Conan, it doesn't work. Yeah. Not if you know anything about...
Yeah, the special sword thing. It's all about the hero's journey, and I'm so sick of it. We got the perfect hero's journey with Luke Skywalker. All right? Now, let's do something else. This is absolutely ridiculous, not necessary for a Conan movie, and it was a shortcut to telling the story, and you still messed up. Clearly I'm disgusted by it. I'm not giving, I'm giving it 2 Grey Geeks because of the fact that I love everything else. Everything except for it's not a Conan story.
And do not blame Jason Momoa.
No.
Too often, the lead, and when movies like this flop, too often the blame is placed on the lead. It's not Jason Momoa's fault. Jason Momoa handles perfectly what he was given. He was given a script, and he did it perfectly. It's that script that he was handed, that script was bad. Bad.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our autopsy.
Take it for what it's worth.
Yeah. Again, not a bad movie if you want to spend some time. Watch something action oriented. It's not something that's going to make you fall asleep, except that unless you are looking for a
if you're a sword and sorcery
geek.
You've seen movies like the Sword and the Sorcerer,
Mm-hmm.
and you've seen you've seen the movies that are out there, so you know what to expect. It gives you what to expect in a Sword and Sorcery movie. It does not give you what to expect in a Conan movie. Conan is the epitome, right? And it wasn't.
Yeah.
It
I
didn't
feel
rise
so
to the
bad
occasion.
because Jason Momoa was the perfect Conan, and you blew that. And poor guy will probably never play another Conan movie, and that pisses me off.
Right.
Because they had everything right except the story. All right.
The difference between a Conan movie and something like Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings gives you a Conan-like character in the midst of this whole, because Tolkien created a universe. In the Conan movie, we don't want the universe, we want Conan. And you weren't given Conan.
All right, we know about the Hyborian Age and all of that, and you missed it. All right, so my name is Louis Matos. I'm the Mustache. Oh, yeah, the Twitter, the website, themustacheandthebeard.com, our Facebook page, curated very well by the Beard, and our email, mustacheandbeard@gmail.com. All right, again, thanks for watching our video. Disappointing as it was.
Yes. Disappointing as it was. I never thought I'd say that about Conan. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Junior Figueroa, a.k.a. The Beard. Welcome you. Saying good night. Hasta la vista, baby.
All right, take it easy.
Peace.
Peace.